1, 2, 3, 4.
Waiting for the dancers to stop dancing. But welcome back to the Men's Roundtable Series podcast. I'm Mr. U. The guys are in the house, man. We got Coach Brian, we got Brent, we got Scotty, DL, the legend. We got Trav Murray in the house. Everybody's here. How you guys doing this evening, afternoon, wherever you are? How you guys, man?
Good.
All well?
Sunshine.
No natural disasters. You guys are good, man. Talk to me now. You know, the news is trying to scare us, man. You guys good or what? Talk.
Smoke has finally cleared up a little bit the last few days. Like we've actually been down in the you can breathe this without feeling like you're sucking in secondhand smoke for the last couple of days. It's been real nice.
We'll call that progress. Yeah, that's good. Everybody else good?
We're just hot enough to feel like we're on fire, but we're not technically on fire. So,
well,
yeah, we got school starting over here, so that's another thing to manage. And then next week, the other half of the kids go to their school, so we'll go by Thursday.
School bus,
whether they want to or not.
Yeah, they don't really want to, but they
kicking and screaming, right?
Yep.
School buses everywhere, brother. At 45 minutes to your commute.
So are you a first day of school, thank goodness parent, or are you a oh so sad parent?
I do need some time to get some work done, so like
okay.
All right, back to school. I spent some time with you this summer.
Yeah.
You did a lot with those kids, man. So, all right, that's good.
We're hitting the age thing. My oldest daughter, just registered for her freshman year.
Ooh.
Whoa.
You're going to need some loving. Some brotherly support, brother.
When my son moved out of the house, my wife and I moved him up to Dallas, and my wife is perfectly fine, and I'm the one crying. So, you know, I'm like, I'm gonna miss my buddy. You know?
Wow, that's normal. I'm hearing that a lot from people. People don't want to leave the school grounds. I'm like, if you stay there too long, you could get arrested. Go back home. You'll see him at 2:00. Yeah, so it's that kind of thing going on, man. Before we get into part 2 of this so far riveting 2-part series, I want to get your takes on last week. Any prevailing thoughts, anything that jumped out, anything you've been kind of sitting with that you think adds value to what we talked about last week? Drop it on us right now. Let's go. Come on. I'm ready for it. The pauses are awesome. Just not on this show.
Yeah.
DL said he listened. So what did you?
Yeah,
think?
I really I enjoyed the different pieces of what a healthy man looks like. Right, there were so many different thoughts, and I love how each one stacked on top of each other, and each one was 100% correct. Like the way that you guys brought it was like, this is what it is, and I'm like, oh yeah, it is. Then someone else would go, this is what it is. I'm like, oh yeah, that too, right? But it's interesting because we often talk about how complicated women can be, right? But look how complicated and complex a healthy man, like what comprises a healthy man, like that is pretty complex itself, right? And I don't know, I've really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and you know, somebody commented on here that a healthy man looks like Mayor DB. I don't know who that was, but I agree with that guy too.
Yeah, that guy, I mean, he was that was pretty pointed, to say the least. But just on your end, DL and Trav, I want to give you guys an opportunity kind of to answer that question if you have something different to add to it, because your view on a healthy man is going to be a big part of the conversation. So I want to give you room for that. So when I ask you, what does a healthy man actually look like from your perspective, and you don't need to have to answer it tonight. We already answered it from the other guys last week. What do you think about that? What's the healthy man look like in your assessment?
I mean, for me, I think about mind, body, spirit, right? We are trichotomy beings, right? So there has to be a level of physical health there, right? You have to be taking care of that. There has to be wellness there. The mind, you know, you can't be driven, I guess, or held captive by emotion, right? There has to be a level of emotional intelligence within the mind. And then the spiritual thing, man, like if you are not connected to God, like I am sorry, this is not condemnation for anyone who might identify with that, but I would not call you healthy. I just wouldn't, right? If you're not connected to the creator, the source of life, right? Health is like an expression of life, right? It's having life kind of in tune, I guess you could say. And so if you're not plugged into the source of life, I wouldn't call you healthy. But I think all three of those things, you know, there's always going to be some level of give, right? Like I find myself in a season where I'm like going crazy in the gym and my books have been sitting on the shelf. You know, I stay prayed up and I stay connected. There's one book I stay in every morning, you know, and that's the good book. That is the revelation of Jesus himself. But my other books, you know, like I've got a book right here. This thing, I've barely gotten past the intro. You know, it's sitting there, you know, it's just a season that I'm in. Like I'm going hard in the gym. And but I think all three have to be existent, right? Like I said, I got to the intro, so I'm reading some. You know, it's not completely to the wayside. But if I'm being honest, I'm not 100% healthy there when it comes to that, right? I can speak to my spiritual health and my physical health, but you know, the mentals probably need a little bit more love. But that's what I think about, man. Three facets of a human being.
I'm with you on that one, Trav.
I'll touch on that. Yeah, I'll touch on that. I agree fully with what he was saying there. And you know, I would say that some of us don't have the physical, you know, capabilities. You know, we lost those due to some tragic accident or something of that nature. But staying as physical as you can is good for the body, no matter what your limitations are. And then, you know, getting that healthy mind right, knowing that you don't know everything, and not giving into your ego to tell you that you are right no matter what, I think breeds a healthier man, a man willing to learn, a man willing to say, I might be wrong on this, but let me be wrong and let me learn, or teach me the way so I can get through it. You know, I heard something about therapy and how men don't need therapy, they need answers. Men want to get the answer. They go for help, just like, you know, somebody else might go into therapy or something like that, but they go in and they say, you know, I need answers on how to do this. And so that's what I'm discovering with myself is I don't need to get into the emotions of things as much. I just need to know what I'm looking at, what I'm staring at, what I'm facing, what are the demons that I need help, that I can pray to God and get help on. And that's how a healthy man moves forward, in my opinion.
I love it. I'm gonna get you on the show with one of our brothers to make it a more combustible episode, because he loves all things therapy. So that comment right there would be enough to ignite him for about 35 minutes. So I'm making it my goal, putting it out here right now. You will be on stage with him at some point in September, if possible. Can't wait for the fireworks. I love it.
I'd like to rephrase that. Like, I think men need help. I think that they need coaches and they need mentors. Therapy is a good option. I just don't think it's the same therapy that my wife needs. My wife needs validation that what she's doing is good and what she's doing is right. I just need to know that I'm heading down the right path. That's all I need.
I'm with you. It's already been said, though, so we're going to clip that part. That you don't need that.
Yeah, clip it.
I heard what you said, but we use the first part. It's better. No, just kidding. But I feel like with this topic, the man I'm becoming, I feel like there's just so much to it. I'm pretty sure that we're going to not break through this in tonight's episode. I know it's the last one, but it feels like it's so weighty. And I like that about the topics that we have, because it gives us a chance to really dig in deep, and we usually find some aspect of ourselves at the end of the episode or end of the series. A man who knows who he is, understands what shapes him, faces what hurts him, and chooses every day to become something better. I feel like that's what we're kind of shooting for. Becoming shouldn't be accidental or incidental. It should be a part of an effort. I mean, we talk about decisions like choosing humility over pride. We talked about that many times on this show. Honesty over image, you know, that provider role, all those things that were part of the playbook, the unwritten playbook. We got to deal with, you know what, where are we actually at? What do we actually need? We talked about that last week. I think it was about the communication piece. You got a guy who's dealing in the wee hours of the night, can he call one of us? You know what I'm saying? That's just being honest. That's not weakness. It's honesty. You say, I need help, because if I don't get some help, I may be, in a precarious position. We talk about forgiveness over resentment, especially when it comes to people who deal with the father wound. Many of us on this show have dealt with something like that, or still do. Discipline over comfort, faith over fear. We deal with all that kind of stuff. But I feel like all those things just lay a brick for the foundation of the man that God created us to be. So that's kind of what we're talking about, what we're kind of getting into. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, or your thoughts on the difference between emotional control and emotional suppression. What do you guys think about that when you hear that? Because I feel like those two things, well, they're definitely different. I think men have used them or misused them in certain ways, but emotional control versus emotional suppression. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I would say emotional control is being able to understand what emotions you're feeling, the time that you're feeling them, and being able to not burst out in anger or not burst out crying or something like that when the moment doesn't call for it. Whereas suppression is just shoving it down, trying not to feel it. And then, just in that sense, I've seen a lot of men explode at the end of that in very bad ways. So I think control is a good thing in some sense of the word, whereas suppression is not so much.
Yeah. I think if people listen to this who are always trying to find a trigger word so they can go off into a rant, they hear the word control coming out of one of our mouths, and it's like, oh, it's automatically bad, it's toxic. But I'm talking more about, kind of being in control of our emotions. Because I know that there are many of us here, whether we talk about it or not, we have on the show, it's already recorded, it's documented for all history, that we have shed tears. Our eyes have sweated at one point or another. We talked about that on this show. You know what I'm saying? But none of us that I've spoken to, I can't think of one person who was in agreement with that. We don't want to openly fall apart. I'm talking about melt into a puddle in any given situation, especially around people who rely on us or people who see us as a mentor or coach. I mean, you coach somebody one-on-one online and then you just break down, the coaching session is over.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there may not be any more because you have, I don't know if you lost your credibility, but it does something to the relationship when you just fall apart. So emotional control, there's nothing wrong with that in the context we're talking about it, but emotional suppression is definitely BAD. It's not good. So you guys, what else you got? Emotional control versus suppression.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it last week. He said suppression of expression leads to depression, right? And I really, that resonated with me, just the way that he said it. I mean, it sounds cool too, right?
Tim Kelly.
Yeah, the alliteration, the wordplay, it sounded good, but to your point, the scripture tells me that the Spirit of God within me it gives me power, love, and a sound mind, right? The power of self-control. So when I think about that, I think time and place, man, right? Like if you're ruled by emotions, you're not going to have any respect for time and place. You're just going to, I'm feeling my feels and everybody's going to know it, but if you are a person that can control rather than suppress, the time and place to do that. The spaces that you need to process. I mean, these things have to be processed, right? A lot of times we find that, like, what is the leading cause of death in our society, right? Like heart attacks, things like that, right? And those come from that type of suppression, right? If you are not processing, I mean, that leads to mental health challenges, right? It leads to so many things. And when I think about it, I was definitely that. I was stuff it down and just be mad and you're good, right? And we all know the end of that story. I ended up having to go to prison. I dealt with every manner of mental health illness that you can think of, right? I had many diagnoses, but the moment I decided that it was okay for me to first identify that there was an emotion, and second, recognize when and where and how to process, and I'll tell you what, there's not a diagnosis that can stick to me these days. There is freedom in being able to control these things and identify them. But I think the first place is to acknowledge that, right? Is you feel these things for a reason. right? It's not just for you to decide whether or not you want to, like, you're going to feel them. It's not a choice. It's a choice how you process it. It's a choice how you react and respond to it. But they're necessary, in my opinion. Suppression is the worst thing that you can do.
That's good stuff, brother. I love it, man. Thank you for sharing that, man. Anybody else?
Yeah, well, I'll go. Control, I believe there's some form of presence or awareness of things rising up in you, whether it's happiness, right? It could be total happiness, and it doesn't have to be sadness or anger or frustration in a sense, and being able to then manage it in the circumstance situation that you're in makes a difference, especially for the experience of the people around you as well, and most importantly, you yourself. Whereas if we go with suppression, I'm gonna agree with everyone. It's just we're stuffing it down, putting it away, sweeping it under the rug. That's what I think or feel in that type of situation. So,
from a definitional standpoint, the word control means to manage something towards a desired outcome. And it's that towards a desired outcome part that I think is beneficial when it comes to emotional control. Because for instance, there's such a thing as righteous anger, anger that you feel and you're supposed to feel it, it's a good thing. Where suppression is usually about repressing something or stopping something, and stopping emotions. I mean, even saying that out loud sounds kind of like, really? Because we don't stop them, we just hide them. They're still there. We just pretend like they're not. So to me, it's more about recognizing that you can recognize that you feel an emotion, but then direct it towards an appropriate outcome, which is control, and that's not negative. And like Brian said, whether it's a positive emotion or a negative emotion, doesn't matter. You still want to manage it towards an intentional outcome. It's that intentionality that I think is important.
Yeah.
Come on, Brad.
He's going to start something
up. We can move on if you want to. I'm just asking.
I was just making sure, Scott, because Scott tried to jump in 3 times, so I was just making sure he got through.
I'm good.
Really wanted to answer it. Emotional
nice.
control is just well managed emotional suppression. That's all. It's the same thing. It's just well managed emotional suppression, right? Mm-hmm. Emotional control tells you I need to suppress this feeling at the moment because there's something more important for me to process right at this second. Now it becomes emotional suppression long term when you never go back to it. That's what emotional control is. It's just having the forethought and the ability and presence of mind to suppress the unnecessary for the necessary in the moment, right? When you get into a really bad situation, right, I can panic or I can suppress that feeling because right now it's more important for me to stay present and deal with the actual situation and then deal with the emotion in the aftermath once everything is safe, right? So emotional control is just well managed emotional suppression. Emotional suppression becomes a problem when we never go back to it. And that's all we're doing with emotional control. So it's just tempered emotional control. That's all. It's having the presence of mind to control the now instead of letting the now control you.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way you said that, because it is like a dam, if you will, and that water's got to go somewhere, and so you release it at the right time in the right place. So I like what you're saying there.
It's the same presence of mind like with the firemen, right?
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was a fire chief. I'm friends with several firemen. They don't want to run into a burning building. They suppress their own natural fight or flight instinct for the betterment of our communities, humanity, other people, because they choose to step into the fire, right? It doesn't mean it's not scary. It doesn't mean that a police officer or soldier isn't terrified when bullets are flying. They just have the presence of mind to choose the mission in the moment and stay present so they can be safe and increase their chances of going home. And then they still have to, that's why we have to be so careful with our veterans, right? They have to have a way to process that emotion after the fact.
Yeah.
After the firefight's over, after the fire is out for the firemen, whatever it is, then you still have to go back. I know the chaplain for our fire department is a friend of mine, and our guys frequently go talk to him. Why? Because after the fact, they got to process all the emotions they felt and they had to control in the moment. So as men, we just have to, that's really what stoicism is, right? The practice of emotional control and stoicism is always never, I said that really badly, has never been men don't experience emotions. It's men don't let the emotion control them and then find a healthy way to process it. Right? When it is safe, when it is clean, when everybody is okay, when it is the right time, now I can focus and get that out and process that emotion and recognize it without it dominating my life.
Yeah, definitely been finding ourselves the past several weeks. Yeah.
I like what you said there. It's funny you used fire because I respectfully disagree a little bit, brother, and this is pretty rare for me and you. Well-managed emotions are just well-managed emotions, right? Well-controlled is well-controlled. There has to be a delineation, though, my opinion. And you used fire, and I was thinking, okay, with fire, right? What is fire suppression? Is that just managing and controlling it, or is the goal for it to extinguish it and to put the fire out? Right. So when I think about suppression for me, right, there has to be a delineation. And suppression, while I do agree in some semblances with what you're saying, the control has to be there, right? And they both have a level of control. Suppression is wanting to get rid of it. Suppression is wanting to put it completely out and not deal with it. The part that you said where it's unhealthy, you don't want to go back, like that's the suppression. That's put this emotion down, kill it, don't go anywhere near it, right? Because I don't want to deal with it. Versus the control being, okay, I'm going to meter this out. Okay, I'm going to pause this for now. Okay, I'm going to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I found it, I was just laughing to myself because I'm like, I thought you were going to go to it when you said fire. I'm like, oh, he's going there. Like we're still in 100% agreement. This is great, you know. But for me, I think there has to be a delineation. Otherwise, we're just dancing around one same thing. You know what I mean?
Well, the analogy actually breaks up because firemen suppress the fire to secure people and then usually let it burn. 9 times out of 10, they extinguish it. They suppress it first to get into it and save what's important. And then they just drown it. But it's a separate measure, right? We deal with a lot of wildland fires here.
Yeah.
Suppression is containing the fires here. They're containing the boundary until they can actually burn out. That's what suppression is in wildland fires. They suppress the perimeter so it can't push past there until it actually burns itself out. That's how you control it.
Fair enough. Here's a question for our panel and, of course, for our family in the chat. You guys can answer, drop your questions in the chat. Have you ever intentionally sabotaged your growth? I know this goes some places, and I know that we have asked questions like this, but not like this directly because of who we're talking about, the man that we're becoming, what our end goal is for us, what we're trying to accomplish, whether it be in the realm of healing, mental health, which we delved into the past few months or so. Have you ever intentionally sabotaged your growth? Why did you think you did that?
I will say 100%, but it was subconscious.
Subconscious, okay.
I've had several close friends just pull me aside flat out and is like, why do you always self-sabotage? Like, apparently in previous years, I've been really notoriously bad enough that my close friends have called me out on the fact that I frequently have self-sabotaged myself. When things start to feel too good, I subconsciously start self-sabotaging myself. and it's something I've had to actually work on the last several years as I've been trying to build my business and stuff. It's like I don't want to get to a good, like, you know, you get right there where things are starting to look good in the business, and then I don't want to self-sabotage years of work, right? But I have to pay attention because I know in previous years, before I really started trying to go somewhere specifically, I did it frequently enough that my friends were calling me out on it.
Wow. All right. Thank you for sharing that, brother. Anybody else? Intentional sabotage?
Yeah, for me, I think right now going through a season of a lot more pressure and in business and always staying busy. So I'm doing things and I'm feeling good about it, but is it actually moving the needle? And then to what challenges is it causing on the back end of it? For example, just I do spend a lot of time with my family, but also I'm not in the day-to-day life necessarily. I look at my calendar and I see open time and I see, oh, I probably should work then. And then I have all this busyness that I can do or learn or understand or get distracted by from doing some of the main things that can move my business forward. And so I think the act of busyness for me of feeling productive, but is it actually moving the needle in the way that it should? And that's something that I think I'm probably dealing with now that I'm not realizing. And I am seeing some of the challenges on the back end of that, of just preoccupied time, whether it's just sleep or not a lot of communication or connection as much as there could be with people close, I think. But then there's this providership of gotta pay the bills and make money and all that stuff. So then being busy feels like I'm doing those things. I'm checking those boxes, but probably not.
Right. Good stuff, right? Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll go. I mean,
it's intense. Good.
It happens a lot, and I feel like a lot of us do this, but it's really just sometimes a fear. Like I know I've done it. I fear that my business might take off, and I'm not ready for it. I fear that something, you know, I fear the no before I ever even get one. Like I have this mission right now that I'm writing a book on marriage communication, and I want to talk to some of the pastors around me in the churches and ask them questions about the things that they deal with the couples in their own congregations. And for some reason, I just, my brain says, they're going to tell you no, don't worry about it. And I just like, I got to call these people. But I mean, I've done it in my own marriage. Like, you know, I've used words that, you know, I've later corrected and had to go to my wife and say, look, I'm sorry. I don't know why I did this, but you know, this is the situation. And I told myself that if I kept doing this, you would expect it. And if you expected it, it put it more on my plate. And I didn't want it on my plate. But the fact was I could deal with it. I was able to handle it, you know, and I'm in that same season right now with my business, the same as Brian. You know, we got to push that needle forward, and we got to keep looking at that needle and say, you know, what's moving it? This isn't moving it. Don't do that right now.
Sure, I like it. Thanks, Trev. Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had periods of my life where I've sabotaged or self-sabotaged. Kind of like Brett was saying, I don't know if intentionally is the right word or subconsciously or, you know, what it boils down to, but whether it's the thinking of, you know, that my only value is what I can produce, you know, it's all of the limiting beliefs, it's all of those internal scripts that run in our head, I think cause us to end up sabotaging ourselves. It takes intentional work to overcome that, just like it. And I guess by not being intentional to overcome it, then you're intentionally staying in it, if that makes sense. It's a long way around to say, I don't know that I intentionally sabotaged myself, but I definitely wasn't doing what I needed to do to not sabotage myself.
Yeah.
So by not doing it, you're still doing it anyway.
You're doing it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me. It might not to anybody else, but no, I get it. Anybody else that I miss?
I mean, anybody, my personal opinion, if somebody says no to this question, I'm not 100% sure if they're being honest. Just because, like, I agree with Brent and what Scott's saying, like this subconsciously doing it. Like, I have no idea why. There have been schools that I've gone to where, I'm passing with great grades, right? And then I get right to the end and I got to turn in one project and I just don't do it. Right. And it's not like I'm like, hey, I'm doing really well. What can I do to screw this up? It's this subconscious thing. And I think it has a lot to do with fear. And then just like history, right? Like, I think the most recent time where I can identify actually doing that is, I had all the tragedy happen in my life. Prior to that, I had this really good job, right? Was making bank, and then I fell. And then when I had opportunities to pick myself back up, I was constantly reminded of how hard that fall was and how much it hurt. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to succeed, because if I succeed, there's a chance that I can fail again. Right. And it's this innate thing. It's not like I want to suck at life. It's not like I want to have things go wrong, but for whatever reason, historically, having time after time just seeing things go wrong, it's like, what we had in one of our comments, Brent, what your comment was, like, I resonate with that 100%, right? Like, when you're used to nothing becomes the norm, and if you want for more than nothing, there's a chance that you don't get it. There's a chance that something worse can happen, but this nothing that I'm at is comfortable. I can be here and know exactly. It's like, what do they say? The devil that you know, right? Like, this is the devil I know. I know everything that could possibly go wrong when my life sucks. And if I can make myself comfortable in this, then I don't have to worry about anything beyond that, right? And then, like I said, it's subconscious, but yeah, I've been doing it since I was a child, man. I believe I'm done doing that now. We'll see. There's some other things that are coming up right now. Let's see if I can push through them, and I'll get back to you guys on that if I found the cure for it.
Just give a shout out to our brother, man. Before anybody else jumps in, our brother Mark. He has a fantastic show called The Valiant Forge. I'm gonna definitely give you a shameless plug, brother. We love you, man. You do awesome work with your podcast, man, and thanks for jumping in and spend some time with us. All right, you're saying check out his podcast tomorrow. There's a guy on there you might know. I want to hear the conversation. Hopefully you recognize him. But I don't know who I cut off, but go ahead and jump in.
I don't know who that is.
It was me.
Okay. No worries.
It was me. I'll be loud now.
Doesn't surprise me whatsoever. But
of course.
Go ahead. So, anybody else want to jump in on that one? If not, I have a powerful question.
It's the old saying, the death of hope is the worst death of all. Because that's the thing, right? We get to a level here. It's exactly what DL was talking about, my comment. And since you guys can't see it, I had it in the private chat. If you live in the dirt and the trash and filth long enough, the idea of something more is scary. You can be at a baseline. That baseline may look like, hell to somebody else. But if you're there long enough, the idea of moving out of it, and it isn't the idea of moving out of it is scary. It's the idea that you now have something to lose if you move out of it, which is 10 times more terrifying. I've got chronic back issues because I broke my spine twice, right? My friend asked me, he's like, well, why don't you go to the chiropractor? The last time I actually tried to deal with the fact that my back slips out, it took 14 visits in a week and a half to put my back in place and for it to stay for more than a couple hours because of the damage to it, right? But it actually stayed and set for a while, for about 3 weeks. And for 3 weeks, I lived without pain. And it's the first time in years I lived without chronic pain. And when it slipped in 3 weeks, the pain was 10 times worse than it was when I was used to it being out all the time. And I was out of chiropractic visits with my insurance. I couldn't go back to the chiropractor. And so my body had to readjust to being in pain all over again for the first time after it not being in pain for the first time in years, right? But those 3 weeks of not being in pain felt so amazing that when it went back out, it was so much worse for my mind to recalibrate and realize that this was back to my normal reality again. And it's the same thing when you live at a certain level long enough, because you're afraid, because you have something to lose if you step out of it.
Sure. Wow. All right. I want to ask you guys a question. You can't use a paragraph to answer this question, okay? It has to be like 5 words or less. I really want you to think about this. This is the kind of thing we end the show with, but I want to ask you about it right here, smack in the middle. The man I'm becoming is what? What does that man look like? Not a paragraph. You only did a full sentence. Just finish the sentence. The man I'm becoming is. I can give you examples, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. But it could be not like my dad. It could be a more present husband. It could be someone who truly loves his community authentically. It could be a number of things, and you probably have 5 different ways to answer that. I just want one from each of you tonight. The man that I'm becoming is blank.
The man that I'm becoming is the man I've been working towards for years.
No, I need more detail. That kind of stuff ain't flying. Come on, man. Dig a little deeper.
Paragraphs.
The man I'm who you looking at? Who is President Brent looking at? What does future Brent look like? It could be a man without back pain. You could be working towards that. But what you told me sounds like you kind of deal with it as a chronic thing, and it's not something that you're not trying to actively do anything to. You still believe in God for healing, I'm sure, but you're not. So, I mean, they're just an example. But the man that I'm becoming is, what does future Brent look like? What is he doing? What's he doing more of that he wasn't doing before?
The man I'm becoming is a successful businessman who's proud of his business.
That's good, man. A lot of businessmen are not proud of their business. They're doing it because they got this unseen obligation that says they got to do this in order to be a success. Somebody who actually does the business and loves their business. I know people who are coaches that don't love coaching. Believe that or not. It's ridiculous, but it's a true thing. So I love that, Brent. Fantastic answer. Who else?
I'll go. I'm the man I'm becoming is a better communicator. So
we talked about that one. So, and your wife is on my side. So yeah, keep going.
Yeah. I need to communicate with her. She about 30 minutes before we started, she just gave me a word. Like, you're not communicating very clearly. Like, okay. Thank you.
I love her already. I heard great things about her. I love her already, man. She's already awesome to me. It's good. I just want me a new fan. No worries. I'm just trying to make new friends. That's all. All right. Who else?
Yeah, I'll go. The man I'm becoming is steadier for my family, myself, my business, and my clients.
So you're a hard charger. Now it's time for you to kind of, be more measured. That's what you're saying, Trev?
I'm inconsistent, if you will. So I want to be steady and consistent.
Copy that. I love it. Thank you, sir. That's really good. All right.
I can go. Man I'm becoming is loving, kind, curious, and faithful. Those are the words I'm trying to live by right now.
Loving, kind.
Loving, kind, curious, and faithful. And I want loving and kind both in there because I don't think they're the same thing, even though I think a lot of times we think they are.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's a whole episode by itself.
It's a sermon too, but that's okay.
It most definitely is.
It's a T-shirt,
right.
a bumper sticker, a sermon.
Yeah, print it up now. Yeah,
fridge
absolutely.
magnet.
But you said no
Right.
paragraph, so I'm not going to preach the sermon. That's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll make an episode that you can have fun with that and roll with it. We'll do it someday for sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
The man I'm becoming is nothing like the man I used to be. And he's heading into places that I swore I was never going to go back to.
I think that's profound, man. And let me tell you why I think that. I don't want to highlight people on the show like, you got to share your secrets and now I'm throwing them back at you. That's not, I don't intend to do that. But, a lot of times, just generally speaking, nobody in particular, but just generally speaking, we talk a lot about what we've been through and everything, but we don't really talk about being cool with embracing the wholesale changes. I don't really know why that is. I know that it's scary to even, it's like saying, you know what? I'm taking everything that was me, it looked like me, was identified with me, and tossing it to the side and embracing a new, whatever your name is. You know what I'm saying? And that's scary. It's scary. I mean, if somebody lose their memory, it's scary to them. It's terrifying because nothing's familiar. And like, what do I have? What can I trust? Is this person good? Were they good to me before? I can't remember them. Were they good to me before? Or were they trying to hurt me? It's a terrifying way to live when you can't remember, who you were. So to take all of that and just actively say, you know what, this person I tried to build up. We had an episode about it. I think it was today and yesterday. Was to look at to build up an entire life and find out that it's not the life you should have been building. Wow. You built it for the wrong reasons. Now you got to tear it all down. That's terrifying for people. So what you said was nothing like the person I was. I don't hear that very often on this show. Maybe we can start that tonight. But I don't hear that very often. I don't want to be like that person. That person, that's not working. I know I got used to it and I got comfortable with it. Everybody else kind of just throws their hands up and say, he's not going to change. That's just who he is. It's not good enough, guys. That's not workable anymore. Not now. Not when life and death can be that quick. It's happening all around us. It can happen to us too. You want that to be the legacy that you decided not to change? You want to be who you were before and be as stubborn as an ox or a mule and say, I'm not going to change this? Is that what you want in your epitaph? I don't want that on mine. So, love what you said, brother. Any other thoughts about the sentence? The man I'm becoming is blank? Because that's really deep stuff you guys threw out there. Go ahead.
I think it gets back to kind of what we were saying earlier. We get comfortable with just about anything. You can get comfortable with being uncomfortable, or you can get comfortable and it hurts all the time, but it's like, yeah, but this is my normal. This is what it is. Bert was talking about it with his back, but it doesn't have to be physical. It can be emotional. It can be mental. It's the curse of deciding that something is the way it is, therefore it is that way, kind of creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. I think we've all done it in various ways at various times to various degrees and probably continue to do it. But it's kind of, you have to push against that all the time to be comfortable with the fact that I'm not going to be comfortable, but that's okay. It's not, discomfort is not the same as death. Our brains treat it like it is, but it's not.
Comfortability might be the same as death. I mean,
it can be, yeah.
Stagnation. Reading the Bible and the good book in that way, I don't think it says anywhere in there to make yourself comfortable and stay there. I don't think it says anywhere in there.
I don't think Christ was comfortable on the cross.
Right.
You know. So
yeah. Now, because we're talking about essentially a version of us that it's in process. We're looking towards that. I feel like every one of our shows has that underlying thread to it. We got a topic we put out there, but we recognize, you know what, we put all of our stuff out there. So, you know, at the end, what my hope as your brother and friends, my hope is that at the end, we take that thing that we revealed about ourselves. So, you know what? I need to deal with this. I can't come back 6 weeks later and say, you know what? It's still in my drawer where I left it. I don't want that for us. I don't want that for myself. I got to deal with this stuff. As you know, the queen, the big fan of this show, she listens to this stuff. She listens to what you say. She knows you guys. She listens to what I say. She knows this guy. I can't go 8 weeks later and I haven't made any attempt to go into that drawer and take that thing out and deal with it. If I got to beat it over the head into submission, that's fine. Whatever I got to do, I got to throw it directly into the trash. Whatever I got to do something. So I always want that for us as a family. So if you try to answer this question for me, the next version of yourself, the one that you're trying to strive for, the next stage, if you will. We're not going to hit perfection next week. We're not going to hit completion next month. I understand that. What I'm asking is that, can you identify what the next version of you requires? What do you need, as you know, to get to the next stage, to the next significant step of your growth as a husband, father, brother, son, or all four of them? What do you need? What does that next version of you require?
Yeah, I think the next version of me requires to let fear be fear and just put it behind me and move forward. I mean, it's a small movement, but it really is something for me that I feel is necessary to the man that I'm trying to become.
That's good, Brad. That's good, man. Who else?
Yeah, the next version of me, man, it requires dying to myself daily, right? It requires it. You know, like I talk about not being anything like that other person. That means all of the things like Scott was talking about that I'm comfortable with, those have to die. All those things those are my safe zones because, you know, when I get mad or something, right, those have to die, right? Like I have to become a person that is willing to do that and be obedient to something beyond me, right? Willing to have purpose outside of myself. You know, because for a long time, I mean, I was God to myself. You know, I was the only one that I could obey. Couldn't nobody tell me nothing, right? Like if you tried, like we would have to fight, and so it was like I am him, right? And so in order for me to become different from that person, like I have to die daily. I have to give way to what God wants. I have to get rid of, like, much like Travis said, I have to get rid of that fear, right? I have to put that behind me and step boldly into things. But it starts with being willing to die daily.
Yeah, that goes along with a little bit of trust, right? Trust that God puts you in positions where you will thrive. Trust that God's intention is for you to grow. I feel that.
Yeah, 100%.
Same here. Anybody else? What does
Part
the
of
next
what I
version
need
of
is-
you require? I'm sorry.
Part
Who's
of
that?
what I need is why I'm here. I need community. I need relationship. I need connection with other men, with, you know, other people, mentorship. I need to open myself up to other people, other thoughts, other experiences, other stories, and really lean into those, as opposed to, you know, I'm perfectly fine. I can be by myself in my house 6 months, you know, never see another person. It wouldn't bother me a bit, you know. Yeah, I go for a walk in the morning. I know every dog's name that I pass. I know none of the owners, you know. It's like, you know, that kind of thing. You know, that's perfectly fine with me. I'm okay. So I've got to open myself up to other people, and that's not comfortable, natural, or normal for me.
I want to give you props, Scotty, before the next person jumps in. I'm going to give you props real quick. I think you deserve it. You've been on a couple of my shows, and I had a lot of shows. You were on almost all of them. So I heard a lot about your story and your life. And then I watched you after that go into all these other circles. You ain't got to name the circles, but you go into these other circles where you've been on stages speaking, high level talks, rubbing elbows with the wealthy and the influential and whatnot. And you know, a person might look at that and say, "That man don't need nothing, man. He rolling. He got it." So for you to come on here and say that, man, you said it before, but I want to highlight it. Like, wow, that's awesome. That means something. You can be honest and say, you know what? I need this. I need the community with all that you have going on, all the things you got going on with books and speaking engagements and I guess relationships, if you will. You said that, man. So that means a lot to all the guys here, I'm sure, man. So thanks for sharing that. Who's the next person that want to jump in? Go ahead.
I'll go. Courage to speak up. So to be a better communicator, you have to actually speak up. In my business persona, I speak up all the time, constantly talking and stuff. So deferring to the specific person I'm talking about, communicating better with, she ends up being in the driver's seat of that conversation and all. And so the courage to speak up and to share and express the way I feel, the way I think about the situations or whatever, and not in any type of, say, friction or anything like that, just like to literally express. There's just not, I just don't do that much. It's literally just head down, be a provider, make money, you know, pay bills, and I do participate, but that there's a gap there that I can step into and do a better job with. Sure.
Another transparency, brother. I'm sure the missus does too, man. And that puts you in a real safe spot. So you got to blink twice. You don't need help. You're okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
She's standing right out of frame. She's standing right out of frame with a bat.
Brian Pan and hand Lex said the right thing, Buster. No, you good, brother.
If you look down to the left, we'll call 911. It's okay.
Blink twice.
And
he's okay. He's okay.
I mean, I've noticed since I was 11, and so she's been a very predominant person in my life, and just, I guess, the ritual of being around someone for so long, and the conversations that we have, or the groove of our existence of how we interact with each other, and it's just not good enough, to be honest, at the end of the day, because that has to be a fire. It has to be nurtured. It has to stay alive, and there has to be time, energy, effort that has to be put into it. And if you can't communicate, then you're not feeding the fire. Whether it does involve a lot of positive emotion, but on the other side of just having, you know, differences of opinions and being able to communicate that and all. So it's very interesting that these are the things that are coming out, and this is the, I guess, the present unresolved thing that I need to become a man that is a better communicator.
Fair enough. I love it. Anybody else? All right.
The next version of me requires good stewardship of the opportunities in front of me.
Mm.
You're not talking about the city council. You're talking about something else, right?
To my knowledge, joining city council, although it sounds like apparently I'm joining the Chamber of Commerce Council. So I don't know. We'll see what comes next. No, I'm just have some opportunities ahead of me in my business that look like they may be coming into focus. And for me to achieve those goals of being the businessman who runs a business I'm proud of, I need to steward those opportunities well, instead of recoiling from that of fear.
I love it. There's two questions I gotta ask this, you guys, and that's how we're going to end the show after we're done with that. But I gotta ask this. It's just germane to the conversation, and then takes us a little bit deeper, because we're talking about things, I guess, theoretically. This is where I want to be. This is my goal. This is what I'm shooting for. I want to ask you guys, and this shouldn't take a paragraph for you to answer this one. if you have a handle. If you don't try to just spit it out. Just take time and let somebody else talk. Maybe you have an answer before we're all done with it. But what are you actively working on right now as it pertains to you? Whether it's in the realm of husband, father, brother, or son, community leader, husband, whatever it is. What are you currently working on? Excuse me. What's the current goal pinned up on the chart? What are you dealing with? What are you working on right now? What's the thing?
For me, it's business. Hands down. Okay. Yeah, spending a significant amount of time to get back to where I had been in the past. And there's nothing different per se than the way I operate, but the way I am interacting in the world or social media or engaging or getting attention or any of those things, I have not spent a lot of time, effort, energy on that stuff. So I'm taking massive action on doing that, and it's preoccupying a lot of time. I dropped my 151st podcast today since September.
My guy, congratulations, man! You're doing great, bro.
Thank you. And it's just this drive. I'm going to do 152 tonight, and then tomorrow 153. Our conversation was 142. It's like it feels like months ago. when we did it was only like a week ago, not even, basically. And so there's this massive amount of, say, provider or stepping up into this business version, in a sense, that is taking a lot of time, energy, and effort, which then is challenging the communicator inside, who's just like, I probably should be doing some work right now. So
yeah, that's good, man. Anybody else? What are you currently working on right now? You got to complete it. You got to resolve it. It's the thing, man. You can't put it aside any longer. What is that?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just this stepping intentionally into kingdom service. I already was, but there have been a million things that I knew God was calling me to do. So I took a step and I gave my 2 weeks at my day job last week.
Wow.
And here's how fun God is. Literally the next day I get an email, because I advocate for policy reform for the incarcerated. I get an email for an invitation to meet with a lawmaker, right? And then I get another email for a day of action to go to DC, and lobby for another bill. And I'm just like, okay, God, I absolutely have to remain obedient. This is why I said this die to self daily is so important, man. I have to, because there's a part of me that wants to be like, somebody else will do it, right? But I've been given a unique way to speak. I've been given a unique story to tell. I've been given a unique experience with God that is going to help, in this effort, right? And so I absolutely have to do that. And where I'm struggling right now is actually releasing the job, because I do a good work, right? We work with people that are in recovery, people that have mental health challenges, right? And I keep fighting with God, right, man? I'm like, okay, God, I'm being obedient, but maybe I could do it part-time, and every time I get this deep sense of conviction, like, stop trying to have it your way. I've got them covered too, right? But I need you in this arena now. And so that's where I'm at. I absolutely have to get there.
Dude, we are so proud of you, brother. That's awesome, man. Gosh, I'm excited, man. That's good stuff, man. I'm so proud of you, brother.
Thank you.
I'm speaking for the entire panel. I'm really proud of you, man. That's a big deal, man. Anybody else?
For me right now, my wife's been going through some health stuff. I think I've mentioned that a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
And so for me right now, my main focus is on kind of supporting her and getting her through it, and getting her balanced and ready to go, and all of that, taking care of my health too, but making sure I'm really focused on taking care of hers, because she's definitely having a harder go of it. So, and of course she feels terrible about it and constantly apologizes and says, I hate being a burden. And I'm like, like you take care of me when I'm sick. Let me take care of you when you're not feeling good. But yeah, for me, that's been my main focus.
You miss anybody that wanted to share?
And I got a baby on the way, so I'm
Oh,
babying
go
the
for it.
house.
Congrats, Trav.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow. You know what you're having?
Yeah, I'm having a little boy in October.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats, brother.
Thank you.
That's
That's
good.
what I'm working on. I'm working on completing that passage of time, that legacy.
Yeah.
I love it, man. All right. Final question of the night. I hope it's not offensive. Oh my goodness. I think it's a valid question, man. I want us to think about this. And I'm gonna give you context for this question. And I think DL, I think you're probably one person on the panel that deals with this as well. In ministry circles, in our daily active ministry circles, one thing people talk about is will people be able to accuse you of being a follower of Jesus and have the evidence to prove you guilty of being a Jesus follower, if you will.
Yeah.
A lot of folks that are saying that about themselves, there's no evidence to show that that's who they actually are. It's just words that come out of their mouth. And one of the things that we care about on this show is transformation. So we're talking about the man that we're becoming. You guys highlighted one thing out of probably several that you want to see take place in the next step, if you will, the next phase of your personal and spiritual development. So the person that's closer to you, in most cases, it might be your wife. If it's not, I'll be shocked, but the person closer to you, if they describe the man that you're becoming today, who they see now, what's one piece of evidence that they will point to that says, you know what, this person, my husband, my best friend, whoever, is changing? What's one piece of evidence that they point to?
And I'll share. My wife would point to, and my communication, as we've talked about. My communication has improved quite a bit with my wife. My ability to listen to what she is actually saying, what she's actually feeling, and then moving through the home in that way. She's been asking for help. She's been asking to relieve the burden that she's been dealing with. And at this point in my life, I've been able to, take over, the home, take over the children, become the man I've wanted to be, the leader of the home, the leader of this family. And she would point to that. She would point to my ability to communicate, my ability to lead, my ability to take action when necessary.
Very good. Thank you, sir, for sharing that. Anybody else? What's that one piece of evidence?
For me, laughter and silliness. It's being playful. I think that would be
laughter and silliness.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Laughter is like it's like medicine for us. So no, that's good. I love that. Anybody else? What's the one piece of evidence? That's how we closing the show out today.
I think for me, it's my willingness to make concessions. Right? It's funny. My wife and my little brother were actually talking about me the other day in front of me. Like I can't believe my wife is telling my brother, like, I can't believe all of these things that I hear about him. Right? Like who he used to be and all that. Was he really as angry as you guys say? Was he really as violent? And my brother flat out, like, this him right here, I can deal with this him. He's like, the guy that he used to be? No, I mean, everything was a world war. It didn't matter. If you looked at me funny, it was like a nuclear bomb for no reason. Don't look like my testimony. I don't look like the person that God's delivering me from, and he's not done. But yeah, my wife doesn't believe any of the things. It's kind of funny. It gets a little frustrating because, there's a part of me that's like, wait, but like those were achievements to the old me. Like, you have to let me hold that. Like, I want to be considered the dirt bag that I felt like I was, right? Like, I like that, and she's like, I don't believe you.
No. That's good, man. That's good. Who else? What's the evidence?
I think for me, a lot of the evidence is seeing the young man that my son is becoming. seeing how he's treating his girlfriend, seeing how, he's working and showing up in the world. Travis just mentioned baby on the way, so that kind of got me thinking that way, and that just seeing, he's not perfect, but he's a good young man, and that makes me look back and go, yeah, that's evidence that not just me, obviously mom too, but we've done something right, and we've worked on some things that show up in the right places.
Love it, man. Thanks for sharing that, brother. IBD, you are the anchor, the fourth leg. You crossed the finish line for us.
I can't. Not if we're talking about the business.
I didn't know it had to be about business. It could be about anything.
Well, you said all this was relative to the discussion we've been having. So we've been pointing at the thing we were coming to since we were feeling. Right?
Yeah, but I mean, okay. There's no words. How are we going to end this show tonight? You put dynamite in the closing of the show. How are we going to end the show now?
we just take his word for it.
No pressure.
Here's the. I'll tell you what. Here's how we end it. I'll throw myself on the chair.
Throw yourself on the chair?
Yeah, you and DL have been with me for longer. I've done shows with a couple of the guys now. You and DL and I have been in this together the longest.
Oh, yeah.
What do you two see that is evidence that I'm heading in the direction I say I'm going for me?
Oh, that's easy for me. It felt. This is, I love you. So the way I talk it, I don't mean no harm.
We're good.
Initially, and this is over a year ago now, it felt to me like there were certain things you wouldn't even consider. You wouldn't even think about it. You would speak matter of fact. This is it. Now I'm hearing somebody who, and I probably heard it for several months, but since we're talking about it right now, somebody who is actually willing to think about that 3 a.m. text or 3 a.m. phone call. Before, I didn't get that feel from you. You might have felt that way, but it never came across to me in over a year. Now I feel like, you know what? That man might send that text. He might make that phone call. I actually have a hope that might actually happen. Before I'm like, nah, he's stoned, man. He's stone-hearted. He ain't trying to move off of that. You know what I'm saying? So I see that. I know you're still struggling with it, but I believe that you are more open to the idea now more than ever. And if that's not a credit to what community does, I don't know what is. So I commend you and I love you, brother.
Yeah. Hey, for me, man, I see a level of peace that I didn't see before. Like you look like you can breathe a lot easier. I know you're still haven't crossed the finish line to where you're going. But I don't know. I feel like when I think back towards the beginning, right? Over a year now, there was almost like this unspoken angst about you, right? Like there was this extra pressure behind what you would say. And I don't see that these days, right? Almost like going from a destructive fire starter to a catalyst. When I say, man, I can't wait to see what crap Brent's going to start today, right? But it's not in a destructive way, right? It's to catalyze a conversation. Like you will say something that will get the conversation started where, okay, now we're building off of what each other's saying, right? Now we're seeing multiple perspectives. Whereas I feel like, I don't know, I feel like at the beginning, sometimes you would say stuff just to get a reaction and it would be funny to me. And I'd be like, oh yeah, it's about to go down, but now I see like a piece about it. I'm over here. My eyes are watering, but yeah, it's evident, brother, to me.
Can't do better than that, man. This is the Men Roundtable series. This is what we do. We talk about issues that are germane to men, and we grow as a result of it. Thank you guys for all you bring to the table. There won't be a roundtable next week. 30th wedding anniversary in full gear, locked in. I can't be here. I got to be there. Yes, but starting in September, we'll be back. Fresh topics, even some new faces coming through. Look at these men. This is the future.